Hello, hello. Can you all hear me? Hello, hello. Yes. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lions Den podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lyons, and I'm back with another recap and review of Paradise Season 2, Episode 7. Who is Alex? We're going to talk about it. But first, we have to go over our house den rules. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and become a part of the Lion's Den. We would love, 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 love to have you. If we're feeling shady, you know what we like to do. We like to put on our shades if we're feeling it. And grab your favorite drink, whether it's a bottle of water or a cocktail. Today I'm drinking a black owned, yes, black owned bottle of water from Alabama/Atlanta. Y'all should check it out. 11.89. Great water. So, yeah, get your drinks in your hand and let's get right into it. What an episode. It was the final countdown. We have one more episode into the end of the season because the season only has 8 episodes. Yeah, no, we don't need that for season 3. I'm here to let y'all know. Do not have only 8 episodes for season 3. It's too short. It's way too short. And we'll talk about a little bit more why in this episode, but there's too much going on for y'all to be stuffing so many storylines because you're trying to get because you got 8 episodes only. What happened to television that was from 12 to 20 plus episodes? I'm not saying I gotta do 20 episodes, but golly, at least 15, at least 12, 15. 8 is too short. This episode felt like so many stories that we really didn't get a lot background story on. And then the stories that did get a lot of breadcrumbing were just, here you go, like very much packaged and closed very quickly, while the other storylines were just like, boom, you're here. It definitely was, in my opinion, a more choppier episode, and especially over previous episodes. So I would probably give this one, I have to be honest, ooh, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10 for sure. Because I can't go below a 6. I just can't. Like, the content of what's going on is too good for me to do that. But my critique is still the same. Like, it felt rushed. There was some plot holes here. Let's just start with Sinatra, right? And Link. So we find some really interesting information that Link may be her son. But did anybody find it very interesting that her reaction was, in my opinion, it was very like she wasn't she was she wasn't shocked. She was happy, but she wasn't surprised. Like, I would think a mom who, we know part of her whole motivation is her son and being overprotective and doing things by any means necessary to protect her daughter, um, close off her feelings and emotions because she grieves so hard for her son. So if this is a woman who her part of her drive is the death of her son, it was so interesting to get this moment between her and Link and her reaction just be, you know, kind of weird to me. And I don't know if it's more of the actress chose to do it in that direction or if that's intentional. And I kind of am more leaning towards it's intentional because thereafter, they had the conversation about her husband and how they had kind of lost their connection, their spark since their son died, where he would help her pick out her clothes and what to wear. And even when she was going into her big meeting to, pretty much now that she's the president, again. And he was like, yeah, where your red? Like he was trying to reminisce and go back to that space. But Sinatra has close to her heart. She is became a very cold hearted woman because she has lost something so dear to her. Um, yeah, that she's allowed herself to be cold even to her husband. And it was a moment where you thought, okay, she was learning, she's trying, and she just shuts him down again. Poor man. But she chooses to go with what's safe. She chooses to go with what, just to get it done. I think it did symbolically represent, red being powerful, colorful, strong. It also can mean, bloodshed as well, but it's often associated with power. So for her to choose, or real power, love as well, for her to choose a mute color, I think is representative of her emotions, of how she feels, of how she's operating. Very much robotic. It was like a gray. So I definitely think, that was what we were supposed to see, from her going to that to her finally at the end deciding to wear that red and being like, all right, love is here. I have arrived. It's the final countdown. Hey, Alex. So, who do we think Alex is? Alex, I think for sure has to be some type of AI time travel device. I'm 80%, 85% sure. I do think that um she has been utilizing it and using it probably to find a timeline or figure out a way to where she could bring her son back, or a timeline where he does not pass away. And I think that's the case. I strongly believe in the theory. Bless me. I strongly believe in the theory that Link is not supposed to be in this timeline. I think it was some manipulation with Alex. I fully believe it. Because notice anytime they get nosebleeds, it is some connection or link to Link. And because her nose bled when she was close to him. Xavier's nose bled, yes, as he came back to Earth, but I don't think he was supposed to go there to find Annie, who had a baby that was not supposed to be here. I think his nose bled around Annie too, and I could be wrong with that. But his nose then bled as he was getting closer to the bunker. With Annie's baby. So I think the connection is that anytime you're close and you're in a timeline that is not supposed to be yours, or you're not supposed to be there, then that happens as a side effect. That's what I think. I'm fully inclined to believe that theory that I have been seeing online and on Reddit, and that is what's happening. So yeah, when they set up the conversation about the year that Sinatra's son was born, I was like, we're supposed to know that. We're supposed to hold on to that. So when Link said, like, when she asked him how old he was, and he was like 26, because we already got that question from you when you, oh, I don't really know my age with Annie. Now you say it again. I was like, oh, is this supposed to be her son? What? So then when it rolled out in the way that it did, with them sharing the same birthday, like I said, she was happy. She was shocked. Like she wasn't surprised. And it was like, okay, so there's a reason why her reaction was not surprising. This was something that she was working for in some way. So I definitely, was like, okay, where's this going? And if you really think about it, they kind of are a little bit parallel, like in how they have asserted leadership, how they are about their movement by any means necessary. I think Sinatra is a little bit more violent, but because so far Link hasn't really done anything not as moral. Like he's been trying to be more moral than her, but um the way that they don't back down, the assertiveness, what you believe in, they very much are similar in that regard. So it was very interesting to see that and be like, okay, I see it. All right, sure, yeah. Um, One of the things that I really liked about this moment was the way that I called him Pastor Cal. Child. Cal was preaching. Cal was preaching. Yes, he was. Reverend Cal was really that monologue was r- absolutely beautiful. I mean, he did a phenomenal job in giving that monologue and really not only the content of the monologue, but the way it was delivered. Because, we set up, and this is how the show started, where it was kind of like Sinatra and the professor were really kind of discounting and side eyeing Cal with his contributions and his opinions about the machine, and kind of she wanted to really paint him as like he don't really know what's going on. Who really cares about what he got to say? Just for him to say the most powerful thing, the most wise speech that she will now have to eat those words for, that she continuously tried to dismiss, I think was such a good way of like making his words stand out more by setting us up in that way. Because she didn't expect that much wisdom to come out of him. See, he will use you. Okay. He will. Reverend Cal was used. Because he said he spoke facts. Like he was like, even the greatest empires have fallen. And you want to know why? Because they've impaled in themselves. They've fallen because in themselves. And so if you can prepare for all of this structure and backups and protocols all you want to, but if the people inside this civilization, you don't have this together, you don't consider this, whatever you're building is not going to matter. So you think you got control of everything, but people have a way of going against all odds and doing things outside of your control. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. Because the situation that seemed like a nearly impossible, like the most impossible way that a bunker could go down, has literally happened because of people. Something you cannot predict. They stop the oxygen, so the doors have to close, which we'll talk about that later. Then you got a group outside who want to siege and take Alex. Then you got the people upstairs who are shutting down the bunker without Sinatra because they're panicking and freaking out, and they're incompetent because they're all billionaires. Okay? Like everything that he said happened. Yeah, that was an amazing moment, an amazing, amazing moment. So let's talk about Jeremy and Agent Robinson. I just want to say this. She should have smacked the back of his neck. Yeah, Jeremy, because he's slick. He's slick. And you know what? I would have been petty enough to go and snitch on him, to be quite honest, because what was it? All you gotta do is say what? Black and die. And that's what I would have said. I would have been like, okay. And that's what we gonna do. Bye, security. Because you're not gonna talk to me slick like that. And in my opinion, he's talked to her too slick too many times. And I was like, who's in this writer's room? Because I'm sorry, but the fear of God should be in him. Stepping to a black woman like that. And her reads need to be a little bit more stronger. So I do have a little problem with that. Because I would have, oh, you hear me? We would have been tussling. You ain't gonna talk to me. Because it's like your man, your dad was an adult in the same way she was. Don't be giving me all that energy. Don't be giving me all the energy, because she could have very much she could have got him. She really could have got him, and I felt like she should have got him a little bit more, because you would not literally be out of that prison if it weren't for her. So how dare you be disrespectful to the person that helps you? There is a theme in this show where black people are so inconvenienced to help the white people. Step parents, Xavier and Terry. Like I'm not liking the theme. They deserve peace. They deserve peace, and they're not getting it from these white kids. I'm gonna just keep it real. I don't know if that's intentional. but I ain't liking it. Mm-mm. Who in that writer's room? Cause you know darn well ain't no kid gonna be that comfortable talking to her, like talking to us like that. Child, please. So, and I'm gonna be honest, that whole storyline was a little weak in my opinion. Like that was my probably one of my least favorites. It's not my least favorite, and I'll talk about that shortly. But it was one of my least favorites because only because it wasn't like we should have invested a little bit more into that. Um Also, okay, so you open the doors and do what? Like, I don't feel like they really thought the plan through, if I'm being honest. So, okay, you want to open the door so people have the option, but baby, you don't know that it's a whole other catastrophe about to happen. And the fact that the people that are in the bunker are the elites. They are the people who got the privilege to be in the bunker. They not really concerned about wanting to go outside as much for real. Like, and do you think the people in the outside world would be happy to find that y'all been chilling and cool and got everything in the bunker? It wasn't thought out. I don't I'm not seeing the vision. I'm really not. I Jeremy, come on now. Like it was just not a good plan. It was I just it really was. It showed definitely for sure his youth, his him being a I'm not gonna even I no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be aged because I'm young. I just think there was like maybe this is why you don't work in silo. Maybe you be more intentional about if you're going to protest, right? And organize, I guess, and if I can use these terms, because it made no sense. I don't get what his plan was just not that well thought out in my opinion. Especially when you don't have enough information. Like, why didn't you get the daughter, Sinatra's daughter, involved to begin with? So that she can give you intel about the things that you don't know. Like that maybe would have been I'm asking for too much of Jeremy. I am. I know I am. But I'm just saying. So also in this episode, Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs has been unalived. She was killed by, is it Tobias? She and Tobias. This was my least favorite storyline, only because, and we talked about it very extensively in our last recap, but it set you up like it was going to be Tobias's psychology background that was going to be the thing that would be able to stop Jane. And that was not used, barely used at all. Like, we just did a whole episode setting up who Jane was. Jane is a person who is seeking validation from women figures. She looks up to them. She wants to be a weapon. She doesn't see value in herself. She gets value from validation. She is a sociopathic killer who gets attached to a person and does their bidding. The fact that one, we never got back to what happened to Ryan, who is Sterling Knight's real wife. We never got an answer to that. And then they had that dialogue, which I said, therapist, you're crazy. Like this is stupid. Sure, maybe she did it to make Jane go after her, but then why have a conversation with Sinatra and be like, I'm concerned about Jane. She's a killer. Like she's crazy. I don't know if you should. And that conversation got on my nerves for multiple reasons. For one, it was kind of like, what was the purpose of doing this when you knew, like when Sinatra doesn't listen to you, she didn't listen to you when you shut down the bunker. You've lost that ear, and you should know that. So why go to her and think that giving her a warning about Jane was going to move her? I don't get it. Like you should now know how Sinatra operates and now sees that Sinatra is one track minded, either I need to come up with a different approach or it's not going to work. And maybe as I'm talking out loud, maybe she was trying to set the tone because she knew Jane would come after her and she could kill Jane. But I don't see Tobias I don't see her being that, thinking that intentional, especially. I just don't see that. I don't see that she was doing that on purpose. I personally don't. I don't think she was. But the whole episode, she's paranoid. She's trying to ice out Jane, but also be paranoid because she know Jane is watching her. But at the same time, Jane only says, "I'll come after you if you come after Sinatra." Well, Tobias didn't come after Sinatra. She didn't do anything to her. Um, so if we know that is what makes up Jane, why would Jane then go rogue to go and kill her? I, like that doesn't make any sense. If she's a machine and she's a person who seeks validation, it isn't like Sinatra said, "Go handle her." No, the last conversation they had, Sinatra was like, "Actually, I think that's a good idea that it should be someone else to oversee who talks to the people outside." And it's not Jane, it's me. So she's not coming, like, I just don't, that's where it was kind of a disconnect. Like, what happened to where Jane is like, did she think like, oh, because I've gotten away with two murders, which is fact, that I could just get away with her? Like, I don't, it to me, it was a bit strange and it didn't really add up to how we just built the characteristics of who Jane is, but also the fact that okay, yeah, she got one up on her because she knew that she would be following her, and did like a bait and switch to kill to unalive her. But it was like, okay, it was underwhelming. It made me think that like maybe she's not really gone. I don't know. Like it was just underwhelming. The whole situation was underwhelming. I was expecting more of a struggle. I was expecting more of like maybe as a therapist, you get to see some of her therapy work because golly, it ain't worked on nobody yet. But she's supposed to be so good. And she ain't like she's definitely one of those characters that are quite frankly useless, but it's kind of like I am female whom you roar type of energy. Like, yeah, I got this, but hasn't really contributed in any way possible. I'm sorry, but that's her. And maybe I'm being harsh, but I just don't see it. But I love to hear your thoughts about it. But we get bits and pieces of the daughters, the daughters that we forget exist. Yeah, that storyline is definitely grazed by. I forgot they were even in the episode. I'm not gonna lie, until I was talking about it with my friend, and I was like, "Oh, right, they weren't there. They got stuck in the elevator." Yeah, that's interesting. I They did not set that up, breadcrumb that at all well. They did not at all. Because what do you mean you have one conversation with the girl and now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, my mom's evil. There has to be more here. There has to be more context and breadcrumbs to how did you get here and how do you know that your mom is doing shady stuff? Like you just didn't wake up and just click a switch. That to me, I think should have been fleshed out way more because it was absolutely grazed over. Um, but a breadcrumb that really wasn't grazed over was the whole situation with Gary. Now, how y'all gonna hype us up to this moment where finally Xavier and Terry are together? Thank God, no one is murdered. We get to see Black Love, Team Black Love, AAA. But the whole scene with Gary was just like, you did all this breadcrumbing. Did I think an amazing job on season 6. Just for him to just sit in the background and watch them walk away, and all he had was a tantrum. Yeah, what's you got? No, I'm sorry. I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm glad like no one had to be unalive. But well, for one, The mere fact that he was like, come home, and then was like, oh, I made dinner, and tried to act like everything was normal, even though he literally had killed his best friend. Bean had literally seen it. Y'all had ran away to get on a train. He is now in this delusion that you are supposed to be with him. And all she's doing is coddling his feelings and ego, and he's okay. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't. Like, at this point, and then he just tried to kill your husband. He just tried to kill your husband. To just walk out, like, that makes no sense to me. And I almost feel like they maybe went multiple directions with this story and ended up choosing this one, which I don't understand why. Because I do kind of feel like somebody was supposed to die. I do feel that way. I don't know if it was supposed to be him or accidentally Terry, because that was absolutely the feeling you thought when you watched it. And it seems like maybe they decided to go in this way for another reason of some sort. But that was a huge letdown because, I mean, you don't just do all of that because you fell in love with someone and then just let them walk away. And all she has to do is coddle her feelings, which I'm tired of white black women and the black people coddling these white men's feelings. But it's just like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how did we? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think that because you had breadcrumbed us so much, we were expecting a bigger ending. But that is why you need more than 8 episodes. I'm gonna keep making this point until y'all hear me. Netflix, Hulu, Jesus, oh Lord, Hulu. I'm gonna keep making that point because it doesn't make any sense. Like, come on now, season 3 needs to be longer. But they are on their way to the train, and they both have to tell each other that, like, hey, you like babies? Oh, well, I have a toddler, so this black couple has now adopted 2 white kids. Whew. On their way to the bunker, which we do feel like is going to be where everything goes down. um in the next episode, there's a lot that is gonna happen in this episode that I'm not quite sure which direction it's gonna go, because Sinatra doesn't know what's going on upstairs, which I did find interesting, that with them shutting down the bunker, nothing happened where she is, but I guess that's maybe where all the energy is going. But oh boy, when she goes upstairs, she's gonna see that they have literally imploded in themselves. I do think it's going to be a war between getting access to Alex, because he did know who Alex was. Link did. Um, I think it's going to be a big episode where they're bringing everyone to one location, which makes sense. I hope it's not as choppy. I really hope it's not as choppy, but we will see. And yeah, I think I can't believe I covered that so fast. But I think we'll also, I hope we also try to understand what other apocalypse is about to happen as well. And and I do want to know, what was Sinatra's plan um with Alex? Is she trying to change the timeline to where it never happens? They know what to do. Like, I want to know where that is going, but I also want to know, she had to know that, like, Link would try to come for Alex. Like, if I altered the reality to where I want my son to be alive, come here, then you have to know. I would think, like, do you know the end result, or is it just kind of like, what are the possibilities that I can do for him to be alive, and you don't know the ins and outs of it, or the in betweens of it? I don't really know. I'm really curious to see what that's gonna look like. I don't know. I also uh what I also want to know, I just completely lost my train of thought here. I I want to know, when it comes to Okay. I do also want to know what is Link gonna do with it, because it's kind of like I I'm like I want to root for him, but I really want to know like what he wants to do with the program and how does he plan to help everyone. But I guess we'll find out a little bit more on what it's supposed to be. I want to also, yeah, I guess I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. I don't really know. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. There's also a theory potentially that there could be some mind control. Because there was a podcast, or there was an episode of a podcast where Sterling Knight's wife did talk about, I think she mentioned like where there was this government study where they would do mind control, and it was, I can't quite remember because this was me and my friend discussing it, but like there was something that was mentioned in an episode that was connected to the government experiment. I forgot exactly what it was. If you know what it was, drop it in the comments. So there's also that theory, and maybe certain people going, being different versions of themselves, because there was also a lot of people who were saying that like Xavier was a variant of himself, and they felt like he was a different person from who he was season one to not being able to clock Gary. I think I mentioned it last week. I don't know about that one. That one seems a little bit more, I don't know, convoluted. I think they have to be careful here because we people aren't really a fan of timelines, as we can see with Marvel. So I think they have to be very intentional, be very careful, make sure they're closing holes. Because I want them to tell us what happened to Ryan. Like, you can't just open that up and we don't know what she was gonna do. um I think we deserve a little bit more when it came to Jane, like in her death. I don't know, like that was just, and that's what makes me think that something about this is temporary, or something about this is about to just kind of Thanos in a way. I don't know. I don't know. But that's kind of the vibes that I get. What y'all think? I really want to know what y'all think. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else going on in here that I need to talk about. Um, yeah, no. I think we've pretty much covered everything. Oh, I guess next episode we really have to see what what's gonna happen and how they're gonna end this. Quite frankly, which I fully predicted that it's going to be kind of like a tell the story from the correct timeline to get us to where we are currently. I know that's what they did last season. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that this season. As far as predictions go, yeah, like I've already mentioned, I do think they're bringing them all there for a reason. We don't know if the other apocalypse is going to happen. What were their plans when the other apocalypse happens? What does Link want to do with that device, um to help and change things? What is he going to do when he sees his baby, you know and that Sinatra is the baby, like grandma baby, this grandma's baby, like, wow, like she has a grandchild. She has a grandchild, like, I'm excited to see Terry reunite with her kids. um I hope they get a moment as well. Woo. I just I don't know. I'm so speechless. This show be having my head hurt for real, y'all. Like my head be hurting. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I have no idea. But we will be back to talk about it next week. We may do Tuesday if it's a little bit sooner. We'll do Tuesday or Wednesday. Just make sure to subscribe and you'll get an alert from us. You can also, put on your notifications as well, but you'll get an alert from us when we're going to go live and talk about the last episode and give it our final ratings and thoughts and feelings on the season. Oh my God. And hopefully they come back with 12 episodes next season because this is ridiculous. Oh, anyway, let's talk about it more in the comments. And thank you guys for watching the Lions Den podcast. Have a good night.